Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm going to be doing your handover video on your Adria Coral XL. So I believe it's a 670 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 670 DK. So based on the Fiat Ducato 2.3 chassis, on these newer cabs you've got pretty much everything all on the left hand side. So all of your sort of fluids and things like that is what I mean. So I'll start with those. So we've got your washer fluid in the corner, power steering fluid and engine coolant, which you need to take this little cover up the top off to get to. We've then got your brake fluid and your engine oil filling point with dipstick down here. So that's all of your fluids and things all on the left hand side. Because we are on the double check automatic chassis, you do also have one other little fluid reservoir, which is just down here tucked behind this, which you can just about see in this corner, which is your automatic transmission fluid. You shouldn't ever have to do anything with that, to be honest, but just pointing out to you that's what that's for. So your chassis plate that you need to look at, so you've got two, but you need to look at the one on the right because that is your uprated Adria one. So it would have had a Fiat one when it came out of the Fiat factory, and then it gets changed over to the Adria one when it comes out of Adria's factory. 249 is the Fiat white paint colour that is your touch-up paint for the white in the vehicle. So Fiat 249 is your touch-up paint colour. And that's about it really for under the bonnet. So, near side passenger door, we've got your bonnet release handle just here inside the door. And underneath the passenger seat, not much to show you in there. That's about it really. You've got your tyre pressures on this little sticker just here, so you can have a little look through that. Inside this little cap, we've got your diesel filling point. So there's no separate fluid reservoir or anything for any AdBlue, so it's just diesel on this one. So it saves any confusion really. Right, so on the near side of the van, you've got really, really good condition on all of your windows. Can't fault it at all for any of that. It's all looking really, really good. Not much else to point out. Bodywork wise is all looking very, very nice. So, being what we'd call a continental vehicle, or one that's not built in the UK, you do get this absolutely massive gas locker here. So this is typical for, like German or Italian or anything that's not British normally, to be honest. Get these bigger gas lockers normally. So you have got space in here for two 13 kilo propane bottles if you want the bigger ones. They will fit, or normally in the UK it's a bit more easy to get hold of these sixes. So these are plenty, to be honest. We give away one free completely full bottle with every vehicle, hence why there isn't two in here. But there you go. So the only unusual thing about this van, the only unusual thing about this gas locker, is that you've got what's called, well, it's not unusual, but it's something I need to point out, is that you've got what's called a crash sensor. So it does tell you what's on, what all of this is up here in this little sticker, but I will just explain it to you now as well. So what you've got is a little section just here, which is the crash sensor. Now basically what it does is it's supposed to isolate the gas if it thinks you've been in a crash. Now it's kind of counterintuitive because what I'm going to tell you now is that you should never have the gas on when you're driving. So realistically, you shouldn't really have to rely on that because you should turn the gas off before you start driving anyway. But the idea is that if you were in a crash and you hadn't turned the gas off, this will stop it. And the only thing is with these is that sometimes if you go over a big bump in the road, these will think that you've been in a crash and will isolate the gas. So when you turn the gas on, it's always good practice when you've got a crash sensor, turn the gas on by going anti-clockwise round to the left, and then press and hold the little green button in for 3 seconds. And what it will do is it will then purge that through and allow it to go past that crash sensor. So it's just something that I always recommend that you do, because sometimes you'll turn the gas on, go inside, and then you'll find nothing comes through. And it's just because you haven't pressed the button in for a few seconds to purge it. So that's that. Reason I would strongly recommend that you turn the gas off before you start driving is that you do not want 30 millibars of propane gas pumping into the van if you have a crash. Now obviously the crash sensor should in an ideal world, stop that from happening, but you never know. So it's just as easy to just turn the gas bottle off before you start driving. It's you know, I've always recommended that. Right, so the next thing is the vent just here. This is your boiler vent. So if you have got the boiler lit up on gas, you will feel hot air pumping out through the bottom of here. Next locker is our toilet cassette locker. So you've got a freshwater flush on here, so you haven't got any separate flush fluid reservoir or anything like that. So all it means is that you do have to have a little bit of water in the fresh tank in order to use the toilet. Okay. To remove the cassette, you lift up on the little orange handle at the front and then pull the cassette towards you, and you'll then be able to take it all the way out. Okay. So all we need to know from there is that you twist this open and empty it out from here. When you're physically emptying it out, you should hold down this little orange button here at the back, and that will then basically just release a little bit of pressure. Once you finish emptying it out, use this cap here as a measuring cup for the blue fluid. 1 cap's worth goes back inside the cassette, give it a little swish around, and then push it all the way back in until this little orange bit goes over the lip. Okay, and then that's ready to be used again. So it's really simple and quick. So just put this door back over for a second, just so I can show you something down here. So this grey pipe down here is your wastewater drain off point. So the actual handle for that is just up here. So if you were to twist it 90 degrees, all of the water from inside the waste tank will drain out onto the floor. Up above us is 2 little bits that fold away quite nicely like that. On the left, we've got a 12 volt external socket. And on the right, we've got your freshwater filling point. So if you have got access to a hose point, then quite literally put the hose in there and fill up your tank like that. That is the easiest way to do it. If you don't have access to that, and you do have a external submersible pump to drop into an external tank, then this is your 12 volt socket to power that. So that's why they put it just here next door to the freshwater filling point. So you've got your garage just here. So this bed does lift up and go completely out the way if you want it to, if you need a huge garage. A lot of the time people will just leave this bed down, but it's completely up to you how you want to do it. I would recommend taking the mattress off because it won't close up fully if you don't. You've got a light down here, and you've also got a vent just here for the heating, so that when you've got the heating on, it will come into this lower locker as well. The floor down here is kind of lined with this waterproof flooring, so it can get soaking wet down there and it won't cause any damp problems. Back of the van, we've got the ladder at the top just there, and a 4-bike rack with all the correct bits and pieces on it. All of the handles are at the top there for them, so you've got all 4 rungs and handles at the top. Tow bar at the bottom, and you've also got rear parking sensors just there as well. That's about it. So, other garage locker just here. You've got your awning winder down here, so that's where that's stored. I can't really show you it out on the video because I've only got one hand free. These 2 vents just here behind this garage locker door are both to do with the fridge. So if you've got the fridge lit up on gas like I do at the moment, you will hear the gas flame going down there. So it's completely normal to be able to hear that. You'll be able to hear it in person. Awning light just up there underneath the awning. That looks to me as well to be probably one of the biggest awnings they do. I think that's a 6 or 5.5 meter awning. So it's a very big awning. Awning light comes on and off with the button just here. So that's his first button here in the middle. And that's a really nice bright LED. So the last thing on the outside really is that you've got your electric hookup point just here. So having the electric hookup plugged in means that you don't have to worry about your battery voltage. It means that, you know, anything mains powered will work. So that's including your 3-pin like household sockets. They will not work unless your hookup is plugged in. And then just one last thing is that your electric step comes out with this first button just here, working really well. So I'll just jump in the cab and show you what we've got in here. So as I mentioned on the outside, we are on the automatic chassis, so that's already a pretty strong starting point. These are very, very sought after. We've got the full cab blinds as well. All right, so the cab blinds are very, very simple. There's various different types and things like that, but you know, they're pretty straightforward to actually use. They'll kind of just come up all the way. The center ones for the front windscreen here have got a magnetic strip running all the way down the face, and they will come together in the middle and meet up. So they have to be both together in the middle for them to stay in the middle. On the actual door itself, we've got obviously the electric windows and your electric adjusting mirrors there as well. So you just use it as like a little joystick after you've chosen which mirror to move. We have got your headlight adjustments and your front and rear fog lamps, along with a switch just here which turns on and off the radio. So this is extremely common in motorhomes to have a switch for the radio. So that switch there, it won't even come on with the ignition on unless you turn that switch on. Unfortunately, because motorhomes are, you know, have so many electronic bits and pieces on them, they can be prone to battery drains. So quite often you'll find that the radios will have a little external switch so that you can completely turn the radio on and off. So the reason I'm telling you that is, one, so that you don't think the radio is not working, because it does, but also so that you don't forget to turn it off every time you get out of the vehicle, because that radio will stay on even if you get out of the van. Okay, so make sure that you turn that switch off when you're done with that. Left-hand stalk, we've got your lights and indicators. Lower left-hand stalk, we have got your cruise control to the top and your limiter, speed limiter, down to the bottom. You can adjust your speed for both of those by going up and down like so, and cancel and resume the cruise control with that left-hand button. Washers and wipers are on the right-hand stalk, and then we'll go over to the middle. So air conditioning is on and off with this little button here, so that will not do anything at all without that button being turned on. I have checked the air conditioning. We have got a little machine here to do aircon with, and the aircon is working really, really nicely. The temperature controls are either side just here, fan speed and temperature, and then recirculate or blowing air in, and all of your, you know, where the actual fan blows the air to on the outside. Just below that, we've got your traction control plus and a downhill assist type thing there. Hazard lights, and you can lock and unlock the cab from this button just here once everything's already closed. Okay. So that, I must admit, I think is about it. So if I turn around, I'll just basically start showing you through what we've got in the back. So the layout in here is a really seriously popular one, and it's one that you don't really get very often. So you've got this absolutely massive overcab bed up here, so with the huge skylight above your head there. Obviously they've all got their own blinds and things like that, so you can completely black those out. That just pushes up and out of the way on these nice strong gas struts, so it's not going to fall down on your head when you're driving, so you can drive like this. You've got little unzippable lockers at the top just here as well, so you've got loads of storage space at the top, and obviously all of your standard sized, they're actually really big to be fair, lockers here as well. The lockers go all the way around, and in this one just to the right of us here, we've got a TV area. So this actually will drop down like so, and you can have the TV drop down. All right, so obviously there's no telly fitted at the moment, but this whole bracket will slide down so that you can have the telly about here. All right, so it's a really, really clever little use of that space, I think. So this is technically a 7-berth vehicle. Okay, so you've got the bunks at the back. So you've got 1, 2 there, 2 at the top up there, so that's 4, 2 here, so that's 6, and then you can convert this area here into a little bed as well. So it's completely up to you how you want to have it. I mean, the majority of people probably won't use it as 7, but the options are there. Okay. So what I will do is I will start with the control panel up there above the door, and then I will start, kind of going through the appliances and things like that. So the control panel itself is pretty well hidden. So it's just here above the door, but it's this kind of like LCD panel that almost sort of blends in. So just touch the face of that screen there and it will come to life, and then you'll have all of these options come up. First things first, we've got a main power switch on the left-hand side. So when you press and hold on that one, it should turn things off. There you go. All right, so press the screen on again, brings your screen up, and then we'll be able to use things again. So when you've turned something on, it will go green. So that's internal lights, awning light, auxiliary power, and water pump. They are your 4 switches that you can turn on. Okay. To the right of this, we have got your gauges. So B1 is your engine battery. So we have a look at that one. 12.4 volts, press it again, and it's at 82% health. B2 is our leisure battery, 12.3 volts, 76%. So both of those voltages and percentages are very, very good. You have to remember that there's no hookup cable plugged into the van at the moment, so there's nothing charging the van up. All of the lights are on. I've got the fridge on. I've got the water pumps up to pressure. So there's lots of things drawing power from the battery at the moment. Okay, so the fact that it's on 76% and that, over 12 volts means that you've got a very good battery. Below that, we've got a blue water tank. So that's showing us our fresh water level, and a red water tank showing us our wastewater levels. So 75% fresh, 0% waste. And then the last 2 buttons that you've got here, you've got this one in the top right, which is showing you how many amps are being drawn or put into the battery at any one time. So we're at minus amps and we're at 2.4. So that means that all of the lights and everything that I've got on in the van at the moment are drawing 2.4 amps. If we had the electric hookup cable plugged in and the charger was on, it might say A plus and then a number, because your charger is putting more power in that is being taken out. So that's basically what's called an ammeter. And the one down here shows us our internal temperature and external temperature. And that's it. That is the control panel in its entirety. So yeah, really simple to use. And I would recommend that basically when you come into the van to use everything, just turn these 4 on, assuming that you want to use the water pump as well. Turn these 4 on and then you should just have power to everything. Okay. So, that being said, the next thing is probably the water pump that I'll explain to you. So, first things first, in this wardrobe at the back just here, when I open it up, you'll see that we've got a little circular notch out of the bottom here. So this little valve that you can see there, you can really easily get your hand in there. It's not, it might look a bit small on the camera, but loads of room. So that is your freshwater drain off point. Okay. So basically, if you want to drain out the fresh tank, twist that open and all of the water will drain straight out onto the floor. So it's really simple. So that's your freshwater drain off point. So first things first with the water system, which might seem obvious, is to make sure that you've got some water in the tank. So 75% in the fresh. We can then turn our water pump on. So if it's orange like that, you need to press it again to make it go green. And then we are on. So the first thing that I do is I would draw the water through on the hot side of the tap. So, cold side of the tap is what I meant to say. So cold is nearly always over to the right. So draw the water through on the cold. Really good pressure. So yeah, good pressure. It's not coughing and spluttering and going all over the place. And it didn't, it carried on and the pump turned itself off when I turned the tap off. Okay, so that means there's no air in the cold water system and everything's good. If I turn it to the left, the difference is that now when I'm drawing it through on the hot side of the tap, the water is going through the boiler first before it gets to the tap. So if I do that now, a little bit of air coming through. and the pump turn itself off straight away. So doing that proves to us that the boiler is full of water and that we're up to pressure and there's no air in the system. So it's really important to know that the boiler is full of water, because if you try and light the boiler up with nothing in it, it's going to overheat. So just double checking that the boiler's got enough water in it, purely just by checking that there's water coming through on both sides of the tap nice and clearly. That's all you need to do. Okay? It takes no time at all, and it's really important to do that. So once you've done that, we can then go ahead and use the boiler however we want to, which is all done by this one little system up here. So this is a Truma iNet Ready system, and this is for the heating and the hot water. So at the moment it's turned off completely. So if I press and hold the center button, the screen comes to life. Okay, so these little screens are normally quite difficult to see on the videos, so I'm going to try my best with it. So quite literally what we've got is 4 symbols along the top, which are all to do with actually what the boiler does. Okay, so we've got these first 2 here, which are heating and hot water. So these are the first 2 that we come to. So the heating's currently off, so what we need to do is scroll through and choose a number which is higher than the internal temperature, which you can see on your screen up here. You can see internal is 24, so we'll have to be above 24 for the heating to actually come on. So press go, and then just ignore what I'm doing for now. Okay, and then that's the heating on. Okay, so select a number on the first one here that's above the temperature that it actually is, and press go. So that will be your heating switched on. Okay, next one over is our hot water. So this one here, press on that. We've got eco, hot, or boost. They are the 3 options for the hot water, so I'll just choose hot. So that's the fundamental first 2 bits and pieces for the boiler. The next one, this one just here, is the energy selector for the boiler. So this is what's telling the boiler whether to use gas, electric, or both at the same time. Now, obviously you know what I mean by gas, but when I say electric, I mean when the hookup cable is plugged in. If the hookup is not plugged in, the electric option on here will not do anything at all. Okay, so at the moment, I've only got the gas on. I don't have the hookup plugged in, so I will have to leave it on the gas. Okay, but we've got mix 1 and mix 2, which are basically a mixture of gas and 4 amps or gas and 8 amps of electricity. So there are your 2 options there. Or we've also got the option of just electric on its own, electric 1 or 2, which is either electric at 4 or 8 amps. So the idea behind it being that you can use the heating and hot water wherever and whenever you are, because you can do it without the hookup plugged in as long as you've got gas. Vice versa, if you don't have any gas but you've got the hookup plugged in, you can do it all on the mains. Okay. The last thing I need to show you is the little fan symbol on the right hand side. When I press on that, we've got eco or high, all right, and that is your fan speed when the heating's on. Alternatively, if I turn the heating off, wrong one. If I turn the heating off and the hot water off, if I go back to the fan symbol now, if I go to it now and go to vent, press go, we'll then have the option of 1 to 10, which is basically just a fan. And what it will do is it will start pumping cool air around to the little circular vents that I showed you earlier on. So when the heating's off, if you choose the fan option there, it will give you the option of vent and a number, and you will then just be able to get cool air pumping around. As long as there's nothing above that little black line there at the top, it means that the boiler is completely off, heating and hot water that is, and so you can just make sure, as long as there's nothing above the black line, the heating and hot water is off. And that's it. So really simple. Once you've done that once or twice, it'll be like second nature. Honestly, it's really, really easy. But yeah. So we've got a 3-burner hob, all with the same ignition button just here. Okay, so really, really simple. Dometic unit there, purpose made for Adria by the looks of it. Okay, all I would say with the cookers is to make sure that you allow the burners to cool off before you put the glass lid back down. They will shatter if you don't let it cool down at least a little bit. Below that, we've got your oven and grill. So oven and grill also has its own ignition switch just here. Okay, in and round to the right for the grill. So what happened there, just so that you know, good thing to show you on the video, it didn't light up straight away when I was doing it. So all I did was I blew in there with my mouth, just a little bit, and it just allows a little bit of extra oxygen in there to actually fire up. It's totally normal to have to do that. All right, just so that you know that. So back off like that, turns the grill off, and then obviously back around to the left for the oven. It's normally just the grill, to be honest with you, that might need a little bit of help every now and again. But yeah, so nice and easy on that one. Below that, nice bit of storage. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, so next thing is probably the fridge. Probably makes the most sense to show you that next. This is a Thetford 3-way fridge. Okay, now this is, we've got the freezer compartment at the top just here, and the main fridge area down below. Now what I mean by 3-way fridge, if you don't know what one of these is, you've basically got 3 different options of getting the fridge cold. You've got the gas. Sorry if the camera's not the best quality right now. You've got the gas. Sorry, 1 second. So press and hold this little button just here to change the options, by the way. So now it's flashing. We've got A, which is automatic, electric hookup, 12-volt electric, or gas. So they are well, they're 4 options, okay? But you've only got 3 options to actually get the fridge cold. So if you have it on A, what it will do is it will automatically choose one of those 3 options for you. Whenever you click on any of the options, it will give you this option here as well to change the temperature level in the fridge. So we'll just leave it on maximum for now. So I've pressed A and pressed go, and what it will do is it will choose the first energy that it thinks we can use, which is chosen correctly straight away, which is gas. Okay, I can't use the electric hookup because the hookup's not plugged in, and I can't use the 12-volt electric, the battery symbol, because the engine has to be running for that option to be available. Okay, so at the moment, the only option that I have, if I choose it manually, is the gas. Press go again, and it will light up on the gas. So that is currently our only option. The other thing to bear in mind is that with these fridges, and it's the same with all motorhome fridges that are 3-way, the only 2 ways to actually get the fridge cold from warm is the gas and the 240 volt, the hookup. Okay, the 12-volt option, your little leisure battery option there, is only for holding the temperature inside the fridge whilst you're driving. It's absolutely not powerful enough to get the fridge cold by itself. So you have to pre-cool the fridge first before you leave, either on the gas or on the mains electric, and then switch over to 12-volt electric when you're driving. Now, the reason for that is, just in case you wondered, you've got what's called a split charger in this motorhome, and any decent motorhome brand has got one of these. So the split charger, what it does is it takes some of the power from the alternator from the engine running and sends it to the back of the van as well. So that when you're driving, the leisure battery is being charged, and you've got the option here for the 12-volt on the fridge. So that's why it doesn't work unless the engine is running. Okay. So these fridges will take a good 3 or 4 hours to get completely cold, even if you're using the gas or the mains electric. So bear that in mind, and just sort of work out when you need to turn it on before you head off. So, bathroom's probably the next thing to show you. So you've got a nice big mirror on the door here. Don't need to see me. Where is the light switch? Over here. So loads of lights in here as well. Loads of LEDs all over the place. And this is actually a really big shower unit. One of the most common questions I get is, why is there 2 drains in the shower? Looks a bit weird. So it's because with a motorhome, if you imagine you're always on the move and you're always somewhere different, you're not always going to be absolutely bang on level. Okay, you're always going to be very, very slightly off one way or the other. So having 2 drains in there, one on each side, means that you'll never get big pools of water in one corner because it's got both sides to drain out from. And the rest of it, to be honest, is pretty easy. You've just got a hot and cold tap there for the sink, hot and cold tap there for the shower. The only part that you might not know is how to use the toilet, which I will show you now. So as you can just see, the toilet seat will swivel all the way around. I'm only doing it like this so I can show you that button at the same time. But basically, blue button here at the back, when you press on that, will pump around your flush fluid, which, as I said, is just water from the fresh tank. And then once you've gone to the toilet, push this handle to the right and it will drain everything out into the cassette. Make sure that you pull the handle back again once you've done that. The reason for that is that if you don't pull the handle back, the cassette will actually be locked. So when you've got the flap open, the cassette is completely locked in position. So you will not be able to take it out from outside, basically. But yeah, that is about it, really. The boiler, the last thing that's on my mind that I feel like I need to show you, if I lift this out of the way, which I definitely should have done before the video. Have a little look down here, see if you can see it or not. Can we open this up? Right, 1 second. So, okay, so this is the thing I was trying to find. So this little box down here, this little black unit with the blue dial on the top and blue button on the side, is your boiler drain off point. So this is actually an automatic drain off point, so that when it gets down to a certain temperature, which is about 3 or 4 degrees, I think, the boiler should drop all of its water out onto the floor. So the reason it does it is so that you don't accidentally forget to drain it out in the winter, and it just, you know, stops the water from freezing up and expanding inside the boiler. So if you want to drain it out manually, all you need to do is twist the valve at the top 90 degrees so that it's facing widthways of the vehicle, left to right of the van, rather than front to back. Okay, so the position that it's in now is the position that you need it to be in order to use it. But if you want to drain the boiler out, twist that valve 90 degrees. You'll notice that when you twist it, the blue button at the bottom of the unit there will pop out. Okay, so to close it back over again, twist the top valve back to where it is right now, and then push the blue button back in. And that's it. I just wanted to point that out to you. That is where your boiler drain off point is. So, there's not much else for me to show you, I don't think. I don't think I've missed anything out. So I get through quite a lot of these videos nowadays, but I'm pretty sure that is it. So, obviously we're P&P campers down in Gosport, and I'm Jordan. I try and do quite a lot of these videos now. We do a handover video for every customer that we have, so that you get to keep hold of it and look back on it as and when. So, you know, give us a shout. We've got lots of stock in at the moment, and if you need any questions answering, just let us know, and we'll be happy to answer them. Thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you soon.